Okay, guys, today I'm doing Scorpio, which is my favorite. I'm Scorpio rising, and what I'm going to do is read a bit on from Robert Hand on Composite Pluto, and from that, then I'm going to do a little bit of a slideshow so you understand Composite Pluto in Scorpio in the 8th house. So what we have is that Pluto is the planet of death and regeneration. In the composite chart, it represents those energies that cause a relationship to go through periods of heavy change. When Pluto is operative, something goes out of existence and a new order comes into being. Its action is absolutely essential to prevent the stagnation that occurs when an old way of life has outlived its purpose. And we can see that going on actually at the moment. We've got tomorrow we have a Pluto-Saturn conjunction at 22 degrees in Capricorn. So what we've got actually going on in society at the moment is what's been outlived. We're we're evolving, and a lot of these planets and the way they meet and conjunctions and stuff like that, big stuff going on tomorrow. So it's quite a, for a lot of people, it can be a very heavy time, but also a very needed time of change. Going on the Pluto, composite Pluto, he says its action is absolutely essential to prevent the stagnation that occurs when an old way of life has outlived its purpose. So repeating there, the old must be cleared away to make room for the new state of being that will follow. When dealing with Pluto, you must let go of whatever is going through the Plutonian crisis. If you try to hold on to something that is dead, you will not succeed in saving it. You will only make the situation worse. So we can see that with, we might hold on to a job that we don't want anymore, or we might hold on to a relationship that we don't want anymore, or a car, for instance. There's so many ways we can hold on to something that is no longer really working in our lives, and then we'll be forced into releasing it at some point, like the cycles of the cycles of the summer and the winter. Things in the winter, the leaves fall off the trees and then we have regrowth, but we can't stop that process happening. It's a cycle. He goes on to say, Pluto operates with such tremendous power that it may be divorced from its death and regeneration aspect and experienced purely as power. The power results from the inevitability of Pluto's transforming quality. The transformations ruled by Pluto are those that arise from the very nature of what is transformed. Its effect is much an integral part of an entity as an object's weight, size, and color. Every living thing contains a set of circumstances that will eventually bring about all fundamental changes, including its death. The power of Pluto comes from within, so it's to do with our subconscious as well. So what I'm going to do is go to a slide, and what we're looking at on a Pluto composite chart, or composite chart, not Pluto, but when we're looking at Pluto, we're looking at the house and sign where the composite Pluto resides. This shows us the evolutionary intention and the prior life desires. Then we're looking at, it shows us where the relationship left off, and then the polarity point shows us the way forward to resolve karmic issues that we may have within our relationships. The north and south nodes and the location of the rulers are really important in the evolutionary astrology also. And the intention of the relationship will be seen in the polarity point of Pluto and the house and sign it resides in. Here we can also understand the reason the relationship is taking place. So you can look at this also, you can get the Pluto, the soul's evolution through relationships, volume 2, Jeffrey Wolf Green. That's a book you can get on Amazon. And going on, you can see here, this is my natal chart. It's dated the 30th of December 2019, a couple of weeks ago. The transits are on the outside. My Pluto is currently transiting in my second house. It's about halfway through. And what you can see up here, Pluto at birth, my natal Pluto conjunct Uranus and conjunct my MC, and this is all very defining. If you don't know your chart, then I can help with that. I read charts and also look at any wounding, and we look at the soul's journey and path. The next slide is showing a composite chart with a friend of mine. So here it changes that, putting two charts together, composite midpoint, then it becomes a 10th house Pluto conjunct Uranus, and what we would do is look to the polarity point for any resolution within the friendship. Here, I'm going to read to you now a bit on the Pluto in the 8th house, Composite, so you get to understand what that is if you have this with a friend. And it's Composite Pluto in Scorpio. So what we've got here, this is about the learning to be in relationship where equality exists. And also, sorry, I'm going to start again. Soul level, it's about soul level connection and incredible magnetic connection. Fears and repulsion are subconscious, and attraction and repulsion also. And it's karmic and it's psychological. Here we have desire equals intentions and what motivates us and our psychology. Here we have a desire to grow beyond our limitations, an attraction to something we are not, which brings awareness to us of what we are not. So when we're in this dynamic, Pluto Scorpio in the 8th house, we're basically attracted to something that which we are not. So it's almost like opposites attract as well. Here, we're being made aware of our own limitations and to move beyond our own limitations also. Because with Scorpio, Pluto Scorpio in itself, you know, I understand it as being, we have the scorpion, then we have the eagle, and then we have the phoenix. And Scorpio contains the archetypes of that as also. Here, we're being made aware of our own limitations, as I've said, to move beyond our own limitations. It's about using and being used. Here, there can be a violation of trust, there can be loss, abandonment, and betrayals. There can be insecurity, and there can be secretive natures. And there can also be hurting each other. And there can be sexualizing what we desire and sexual addiction, and wanting to merge to become one soul. There can be a loss of identity, fear of being lost. And here we need honest examination. It's really required that honest examination takes place within this Pluto Scorpio. There has to be an elimination of impurities is the intention of this placement. So then we would go to the polarity point, which would be 2nd house or Taurus, to resolve any potential issues that are not really working. So here we would have to go for mutual responsibility for all, forgiveness of each other, bringing to the fore all of the impurities and limitations to be resolved and healed. There needs to be an allowance to each other to meet each other's own needs, and self-reliance and self-empowerment needs to take place. Here we're bringing together also versus compulsions that are addictive, to stop using each other and find new ways of being in the relationship, and this requires total honesty. Secrets and secretiveness need to be eliminated, and otherwise there can be an enforced loss of one another. Taking the right action helps us to evolve this, so it's really important to take on board, you know, it's much deeper though. When we're looking at a chart, we're bringing the whole thing in and integrating the whole thing. It's not one thing, but Pluto is the soul journey in evolutionary astrology. Next slide, I'm going to read from Jeff Wolf Green, Pluto Volume 1, page 346. And he says here, the need here is to merge with source, the universal, requires that the individual leaps into the abyss with faith, so that all barriers preventing this conscious union can be dissolved. Yet this evolutionary need is commonly met with resistance and fear. Just as the wave can resist returning to the sea for a time, so does the egocentric identification within the individual resist surrendering to the cosmic ocean or being from which he or she originated. I love this part of that book. You know, it speaks to me loud and clear. And if you think that, you know, we've got the waves in the ocean, and they do, for a moment, the wave will rise and then it will resist and then it will fall again. And, you know, as a soul, you know, we come in, we rise, and we're going to basically go on as a soul. We're infinite in that respect. And then here I love Carl Gustav Jung, which for me works with evolutionary astrology. And he was born in 1875, and he explains that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And this, to me, statement is in direct connection to Pluto, in my view, because Pluto is what's unconscious, it's the subconscious, it's what we can't see that's brought to consciousness. And as we bring things to consciousness, our life changes because we're no longer just on automatic mode. He also says what you resist not only persists, but it will grow in size. And I love that too.